What's up, Lost Boys? Here we are for another fantasy football recap video. Wow, what a regular season it's been, guys. Came down to the wire for so many teams, for so many situations, playoffs, stand up. I honestly couldn't have scripted it any better. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get right into this week. We're going to look at the results, then we're going to see what happened because of those results, and then we're going to look at a little preview into the first round of the playoffs, okay? So, first and foremost, let's talk about. There's a bunch of stuff we could talk about, guys. We're going to start with. We'll just look at the matchups, and then we'll talk about what happened because of the matchups. Our matchup of the week was our de facto playoff of the week, but it didn't end up being a playoff of the week because of some other results. Denny versus Ryan. They both came in. Winner of this game was guaranteed a playoff spot, and Denny takes down Ryan in a matchup 158 to 148 ended up being a closer matchup than what it looked like it was going to be earlier in the day. Ryan made a good match of it. Some of Denny's guys didn't perform. Jameer Gibbs especially didn't perform very well this week, but Denny still takes the dub. Denny moves into second place and clinches a playoff spot. Ryan, what we thought was going to happen was the loser of this game was going to fall out of the playoffs, but one scenario that was mentioned in last week's video was the loser of this game could theoretically still make it into the playoffs if Jace and Tim still lost. Well, let's get to those matchups. We're going to start with Tim versus Matt. And, guys, or I'm sorry, Tim versus Pat. Not Matt, Pat. Pat's been on a roll. Like, Pat started this season so badly. I think he was 0-5 maybe. And here he moves to 8-7. The guy went on an 8-2 run. He's played spoiler the last 3 weeks. His team finally kind of got healthy. Guys came back. And Pat once again puts up 184 points and beats Tim's ass. And if it wasn't for week 1, where Pat lost to Cal of all people, by half a point, Pat would be in the playoffs right now, which is wild to say. And there seems to be so many situations throughout the year that happened. A little loss there, a guy didn't play this player there, a point here, a point there, that had a ripple effect on the entire season. And that was the one in week 1 for Pat. He's got to be kicking himself right now because his team is looking really, really good. Unfortunately, he's just going to come just short of the playoffs. Tim went into this week, he just needed to win. He was right there, champion last year, wants to defend his title in the playoffs, and he's not going to get that chance. Bummer for Tim. Next year, Tim, you've been kicking ass. The last 2 years have been your 2 best years of fantasy. So hats off to our Super Bowl champion from last year. It'll be a new one this year, but Tim, you did awesome the last 2 years. Next game, Jace, with Tim falling to Pat, this opened the door. You guys got to remember, Pat got a 40 burger from Kyle Pitts on Thursday Night Football last week. So Jace was doing backflips. He's thinking, hey, odds are Pat's going to take down Tim, which he did. Jace knows now all Jace does is have to win. He has to win, and he's in the playoffs. Well, he runs into Mr. Steve Harvey's pants. Cass had been wearing those huge pants all year. We didn't even know he was saving all of his points up in those huge things for this week to play spoiler on Jace. Cass puts up his most points of the year, 100 and let's take a look. 173 points, I think, is his most points of the year. Takes down Jace. Jace puts up 125. Not even a good fight in his last week of the regular season, and it's the same story with Jace. Josh Allen did good. Jalen Hurts did good, and this week was a Tyrone Trace. Jace gets 3 really good games every single week, and then he goes down because his team is not very good in general, which is a bummer. Cass, though, finally showed us something. His quarterbacks showed up, which is good. He got a few touchdowns from guys he hadn't really seen all year, and Cass steps up, and not only does he take Jace out of the playoff hunt, but he avoids stand-up. Huge win for Cass. Speaking of stand-up, Cal, here we are, guys. We officially have our stand-up man. It happens to be Cal, who I don't know if you guys have been keeping track, but this is the not one, not two, but third year in a row that Cal has got last place in our league. Like, he's the bottom barrel. He's officially our worst fantasy football player. I love you, Cal, but you need to step it up next year. Maybe this stand-up will give you a kick in the ass or something, give you some motivation. Because, wow, it was bad. Worst record, least amount of points. Just a really bad year for Cal, and we're going to see him on stage in about, I don't know, 9 months in Chicago. I seriously cannot wait for that. It will be so awesome. So Cal gets last place, guys. Cass avoids the stand-up by taking down Jace and knocking him out. So we've talked about every single game except for Josh versus Justin. As we went into this week's, discussed in last week's video, that game didn't really have any ramifications. Both players had clinched the playoffs. Josh had clinched first place regardless of the outcome. It didn't matter to his players. They said, whatever, we're still going to put up 200 plus points this week. A lot of his guys went off. Probably maybe went off too early because he's going to need these points for next week. But destroys Justin, beats him by over 30 points. Now, Justin had a great game. I mean, Justin's team is awesome. 170 points, would have been the third or fourth most points this week. But not enough to take down Josh. Didn't really matter to Justin. Only affected him in seeding. So those are the results from this week, guys. We're going to look at the standings now. Josh clinches first place, best record, most points for the season. So successful regular season for Josh. He's going to be the number 1 seed going to the playoffs. Then it's Denny. With his points, he jumps past Barreto in the tiebreaker because they have the same record. Denny's team's been strong all year. I've been saying he has 2 of the top 3 or 4 fantasy players all year long in Jahmyr Gibbs and JSN. And guys, he has, which I'm going to consider maybe the 5th best fantasy player overall in Trey McBride right now. Because of the premium position, Trey McBride has been dominating, absolutely dominating. So Denny has 3 of the top 5 fantasy players in the league right now. He's scary. He is scary. Stay out of his way. Scary. Number 3 seed, that's going to be Justin. Justin's going to get the 3rd seed. He's also very scary. Denny and Justin right now are both healthy. Neither of them had any injuries this last week, and both guys are so good. Justin's team, in my opinion, is a little bit deeper than Denny's. His flex plays, maybe his quarterbacks are just a tad better than Denny's. Maybe the quarterbacks are about even. Let's just say QBs are about even. But Justin's flex players and maybe his wide receivers, if A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith actually do stuff, which they have been in the second half of the season, Justin's team's a little bit deeper. Denny's team's a little bit more top-heavy with those 3 guys that I mentioned before. This matchup is going to be awesome. I am predicting this is going to be the highest playoff matchup of the week. Going to be coming down to the wire. It's going to be insanely close. I don't know which way it's going to go. I'm gonna lean towards Denny in this prediction. The only reason is because one of Denny's weaknesses has been his QB2, and he has Justin Herbert, who's been playing bad the last few weeks. Well, he gets Dallas's defense this week. Dallas's defense is the worst in the league. It's been awful. This could be the week that a 25-30 point Justin Herbert game pushes Denny slightly over the edge and takes Justin down. But he's got to be weary of Bijan. He's got to be weary of James Cook. And this is why it was so hard for me to choose. Justin gets the benefit. Devontae Adams is out, blown hamstring. Puka Nacua, if he stays healthy the whole game, he may get 20 targets. I mean, we may be looking at a 40-burger from Puka Nacua. So regardless of how good these players are, Puka may be the best player on both rosters this week. So it's such a hard game. I'm going to predict Denny takes it by 3 points to move on to this first ever Super Bowl. But who knows? That game is up in the air. Our next game and our second playoff game is Josh versus Ryan. These guys have a storied past. They played 2 years ago in the infamous zombie game where someone died and then they came back to life. Co-champions a few years ago. They played early. I think they played 3 weeks ago. Josh took the victory in that one. Unfortunately for both of these teams, they did have a couple key injuries. last week. Josh did lose Devontae Adams, who's been a cornerstone for his team, and Ryan, as we all know, unfortunately lost Patrick Mahomes. So it's been a bummer. Fortunately for Ryan, though, I'm not, obviously no bad juju. Fantasy-wise, that may be something good for him. Mahomes has played really bad the last 4 weeks, and Ryan has some good backup guys. I know he has Baker. I forget his other quarterback, but if I remember correctly, he's actually pretty solid. He did have Daniel Jones, and then he got hurt. So anyway, Ryan will start a really strong team. His team in general is scary. I mentioned before a couple weeks ago, Ryan Harvey. For Denver, the running back, he kept him all year. He could be, kept saying he's a league winner. RJ Harvey could be the league winner. And he gets into the playoffs. Well, that's when league winners come. Who's been playing awesome? Chase Brown, ever since Burrow's come back. Saquon got him 16 points this week. So his guys that were laying dormant all year now are coming back and they're rolling. Saquon, RJ Harvey, Chase Brown. The question with Ryan is, can he get it from his wide receivers? If you remember, they played 3 weeks ago on Thanksgiving. Josh started Thanksgiving. Amon-Ra, 0 points. Hurt his ankle. It was done. Josh was going to lose that week. I mean, you can't start off with a 0 from your best player. Well, then Ryan's guys, Zay Flowers gets a negative 0.4. That obviously is not going to happen again. But if Ryan can get some contributions from Zay Flowers, Abuka, and Jawan Jennings. But the bigger thing with Ryan, this was my prediction last week against Denny, Drake London is such a wild card. If Drake London can come back from his injury, Ryan gets a huge boost, gives him an X factor, and basically it's so big. Ryan gaining a wide receiver 1, Josh losing Devontae Adams, a wide receiver 1. I think that's going to be the difference, guys, in this matchup. One guy getting healthier, the other guy getting hurt, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be an epic matchup. Unfortunately for Josh, losing Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers hasn't been performing this year, relying on huge games. Another scary thing for Josh is he put up almost 210 points this week. He's asking his team to perform in back-to-back weeks. A lot of times that doesn't happen, and you guys know as well as I know, the team that usually ends the regular season first place with the most points usually doesn't make it that far in the playoffs. So I'm predicting an upset in round 1, and I'm predicting Ryan, with Drake London coming back, Drake London having a big game, takes down Josh this week in a big upset, which would set up a Ryan versus Denny Super Bowl, which we just saw that matchup this week. So it's crazy. All these 4 teams that played each other this week are all matching up again, kind of in the playoffs, which is wild. We've never seen anything like that before. So those are my predictions, guys. Amazing season to everyone. Everyone stuck with it throughout the year. Insanely close. It just shows you, like, points are king. Points are king. I mean, Pat would have made it in if it was for points. Tim might have made it in if it was for points. Like, points are so important in the league. Cal, get your stand-up ready. Cannot wait for Chicago next year. I'm super pumped that we're having the draft in Chicago. Speaking of that, guys, let's start to get the planning set, Airbnb, flights, stuff like that. Get it booked early. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a phenomenal Christmas. I guess the next video it'll be right before Christmas. So I'll talk to you guys again before Christmas. But also, don't forget that we not only do have the Thursday games, but we do have the Saturday games, and there's some big games on Saturday that have a lot of fantasy football players. So sure we'll be all tuning in on Saturday. Patty, congrats on the Bears. They keep kicking ass. I am rooting for them to go all the way, baby. So love you guys. Go Chiefs. Go Bears. Have a good day.